Hello world.
We could get him on together.
We could do that. Lynn, we've started the podcast, babes. I need to introduce, don't I? No one knows it's you. Well, they do, because it will be in the title anyway.
Yeah.
Hello world, and welcome to Bipey Fox. Today we have Lynn Marie Jackson. She's already said hello, please. And we're going to talk today about her book, Reversing Bipolar and Depression, a guide to reverse chronic physical and mental health illnesses. Hello, Lynn.
Hello, Bipey. Good morning, everybody.
Can we just say that Lynn caught me off guard today? She said, "I'm sorry, I'm early." It was 10 to 11. We had arranged 11 o'clock. But we had arranged 11 o'clock for next week. So she was actually a week and 10 minutes early. So
I'm so fast.
You are.
So fast.
You're the quickest podcaster I've ever seen, please. How are you, Lynn?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Yeah, really good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I keep well because I keep on my plan and I enjoy my plan, obviously transitioning. I focused a lot on what I was eating and nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
So the little science I found about, well, number one, gluten and psychosis, I read about that. So I thought, right, I'll get off gluten. And then I've done gluten-free, but then I realised that ain't very nice. And then I read a book called Grain Brain.
Right.
And after I read that, I thought, I'm going to give up all grains. So I give up all grains and just ate root veg and potatoes and things.
Yeah.
And that suited me.
Nice.
Grains are very not good for the brain. They sort of, fruits and things are. So I transitioned. That took me a long while to change your diet. As we're so loved the things we have. That's very difficult. So you can't do it in a fortnight, because then you'll go back to all the things what you want, like, teas, coffees, Diet Cokes or whatever. So it's a slow process, but it took me 14 months, and then I weaned off medications. I was on olanzapine, and that's an antipsychotic, but I never had a high dose. I always had the minimum I could get away with, but I did manage to get off it sometimes. And then if I was ill again, which was generally the winter, when I ate more grains and bread and things like that. So I just kind of transitioned my diet, and I tried to do some yoga. So I joined a yoga class, and the breathing exercises really helped me to focus on how my body is feeling at any given time. So then I realised, because she told me to connect with my breath every time if I was with somebody who triggered me. So, like if I see certain family members who, trigger you, I thought, I must think about my breathing. So, and I made sure I had something to eat before I went round, because I used to be a person who would go quite a long time before eating, and then I'd eat later in the comfort of my own home. So during the day, I was kind of running on adrenaline, I suppose, which a lot of people do. You get up, you have a coffee, and then you're on a buzz all day, and then you eat and relax at night when you get back in your cave. So I had to kind of break them cycles, and eating breakfast was a really hard thing for me to do. That's tricky. You have to kind of push yourself. So, and I focused on high nutrition, and then I liked smoothies. I made, because I always loved bananas, so banana smoothies, and then I started putting things in there. And, so the whole system was out of, when you got bipolar, there's your fight or flight, there's your adrenals, there's your gut issues, that's everything. And because that's all, like that. So it takes a lot of time. And then weaning off the medications, oh my God, the withdrawals. Then when I went to the doctor, they said, oh, that's your illness coming back. You better start taking double your medication. And I thought, no, this is a withdrawal. So I felt lousy. And, that upsets your system.
What withdrawal symptoms did you have, Lynn?
Well, I just felt exhausted. And I felt spaced out. And jittery at night, you'd wake up flinching, flinching your arms and legs and all that sort of thing. So you get brain zaps and, so yeah, pretty bad.
It's interesting you say brain zaps, Lynn, because do you know what? And I think it's right to say as well, it's not the right thing to do. I think I'm just going to say that from my own experience, that I don't think it's the right thing to do to come off your medication without, obviously, if you're going to do it, make sure that you consult a doctor. But it's really interesting you say brain zaps, because one of the things that I couldn't explain, there's a lot I couldn't explain with bipolar, but when I came off my medication, I couldn't explain what a brain zap was until someone actually said to me, you can get brain zaps. And it's funny you said it now, because it's exactly what it is. And for anyone that's not experienced a brain zap, it's exactly what you'd imagine a brain zap to be, isn't it, Lynn? It's like
an electrical jolt, which it kind of is your vagus nerve, you see. Your nerves are shot, really, and your body have been running on a sort of different hormones and that, so you have to calm your body down, so that calms your brain down. So, I found Kelly Brogan, and I listened to all, different nutritionists and holistic doctors, and I thought, I'm going to do it with food. How else am I going to do it, But I done a bit of yoga, and I went for walking. I didn't do a lot of exercise. I just used to go for walks on my own for about an hour, and I got into that habit, and as humans, we're habitual creatures. So I done the yoga, I focused on my food every day, and took different things which I knew, and the more I learned, the more I added, and then I ended up writing a book, so anybody else could kind of give it a go. But I'm not advocating chucking your meds out the window and going on a crazy diet, because
agreed, yeah.
you got to get yourself right first. It took me 14 months before I could wean off, which is a long time. But I think if somebody had my book, they'd probably do it quicker, because I didn't have nobody teaching me, because there's like a new pathway. I'd never known anybody to reverse bipolar. I heard of people reversing diabetes. So I was new territory, really, so going through the jungle on my own. So, but it worked out, and I'm 7 years med-free, stable, very happy, and I consider I'm as normal as anybody.
That's great. I think that's a good little transition into your book, Lynn, because I think, as we've sort of said before, and I think we said on the last podcast, that I'm almost certain that if I just gave you the time and space, you would speak for the rest of the day, which I'm sure everyone would love to listen to. I certainly would. But we did say before this, it would be nice to have a chat about your book and how it came about. I mean, obviously we know how it came about, because obviously you have or had bipolar and you've reversed it. But do you want to talk a little bit about how that started, what the sort of process was of making the book, or go along those sort of lines?
The book, I suppose once I got well, I then felt sorry for people who were still ill. So I used to go to the hospital to some of the public meetings, because I thought, they'll be interested in my story. But the people in the audience, they was interested, different people. Some of them didn't believe it and think, oh no, you can't get yourself right from bipolar, you've got that for life, so they didn't believe you. The people there that are in charge, they don't really want to hear that. So I thought, I've got to put it in a book, because sometimes when you meet people, you can't give them all the information which you'd like. So I wanted to put a book out there, and I've had that out for like 2 or 3 years now. So I'm putting through in America, and been in touch with people all over the world. So they contact me, and I just tell them how I went about it. Everybody's healing journey is different, but you've got to really dedicate yourself to yourself, which is hard, because we live in the Western world where everything is so busy. So my book is full of recipes and full of charts, because a lot of information we're given about food is by the industry, like the dairy industry say. They tell us we need dairy, but I don't eat no dairy now. That was a hard thing to give up, because I used to love cheese. And, so it's weaning off things. And so I just put what I did in the book, and it's a cleanse and detoxing book, really. So it's a high liquid meals, like in juicing and smoothies, thinking about what you're hydrating on, So there's a lot in there. There's a bit about my story, but it's not very dark. I wrote it sort of, I like to be funny. I don't like to go back and go over all. I've done the healing. I've sat with my trauma. I've sat with my, everything like that. I don't need to work through it anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That was part of the healing journey. Is that first year when I tackled it, you're tackling yourself, so it brings up a lot of emotions. You get a lot of memories from the past, and all things you have to sit with, and not medicate. So you're not going down the pub thinking, oh well, you're choosing a different way of reacting instead of being reactive. You're observing how you feel, and that's how yoga helped me, because you observe your breath, and she taught me to observe your body, how you react, and so you become more aware of yourself outside yourself. It's a bit hard to explain, but
no, 100%. Can I just pick you up, because it's funny. Honestly, it's funny you say that, because I know a lot of people say, "Oh, I've read your book and whatever." Like, I hope that you know that I'm absolutely intrigued by you, and I take you as a massive inspiration. And thank you again for reaching out in the first place. But I have actually been reading your book, and I've got to sort of not the middle, but nearly the middle. And I actually, funnily enough, there's a couple of things I wanted to mention here. But firstly, obviously, the food side of things. I think I was saying yesterday on the podcast that, I think food is good to keep you well. Give me a second, Lynn. Sorry, I've just got a call coming through. I will let that go. That is someone who's a very good friend who's calling me, but he's not aware. He's not aware that I'm doing a podcast right now. It's a bit of a shame. But anyway, it's all good. It's gone now. So anyway, I stopped on the page about some of the nutrition that you put in here, and it's interesting because there's a coffee replacement which is chicory, right?
Yeah.
And funnily enough, someone from my past, mother, actually introduced me to chicory coffee, and I wasn't aware that it's the huge benefits that it can have. It essentially, for anyone that doesn't know, it's basically a replacement for coffee that tastes exactly the same, but it doesn't have caffeine in it, right?
Yeah. But you see, coffee that's a wicked thing for any illness. Whatever illness you got, coffee stimulates the adrenal glands, but it stops oxygen going to your brain. If you have a cup of coffee, if you look on, they put somebody through a scanner. After a cup of coffee, you have 40% less oxygen. And also, if you drink a lot of tea and coffee, you don't absorb your iron. You don't absorb your nutrients because of the tannins in the coffee. So coffee is an all-out really bad thing, because, and especially for mental health, because it stimulates the adrenaline, and so you're getting whizzing up and down. So getting rid of coffee, and it's dehydrating, so and it's acid forming. So not
ideal.
Even a couple of cups a day, if you can swap that to something else or wean off it, you're on a winner after a month or two. But I had to do so much before I started to feel better. I sort of thought, a lot of people think, oh, I'll just get rid of the gluten. Well, I've tried other things before, but I hadn't done it to the extent. You have to do it for a long time and introduce a lot of things before you get your gut right, because a lot of things are gut issues.
Oh, 100%, and I think that's important. Again, I think this is quite repetitious of me to say, because I'm pretty sure I've said this before, but I think it's important, or this was for me anyway, I think it's important that people realise that food doesn't necessarily cure you.
No,
from my
not
experience.
The food don't cure you, but food can keep you stuck where you are.
Yeah.
And your body only heal when the conditions are right. Mm-hmm. So you can't heal, and a lot of people never heal. They have illnesses for years because, everything is about cleansing the body. We're exposed to so much toxicity and, so many chemicals in the food in the supermarket. So people never get right. But no, it's not really the food what heals you, but it's avoiding the toxins what heals you. It's giving the body a rest.
100%. Well, on that as well, just because we've done a lot about food now, I think, I think there was also a couple of things. I don't know if this is in all of your books or whether you just sent me this as well, but you sent me a couple of leaflets